My name is Martin. Welcome back to Plunge into Crime, where we unravel the twisted minds and dark tales of some of the world's most notorious criminals. Today, we're delving into one of the most chilling cases in criminal history. The story of Pedro Alonso Lopez, a man whose crimes defy comprehension. Known as the Monster of the Andes, Lopez is believed to have raped and murdered over 300 young girls across Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru. His reign of terror shook the world and remains one of the most haunting tales of human depravity. Brace yourselves, because this is not a story for the faint of heart. The early years of Pedro Alonso Lopez. Pedro Alonso Lopez was born on October 8, 1948, in Santa Isabel, Tolima, Colombia, into a life of poverty and hardship. The seventh of 13 children, his early years were marked by violence, deprivation, and abuse. His mother, Benilda Lopez de Castaneda, worked as a sex worker to make ends meet. Pedro witnessed her line of work firsthand, leaving a deep scar on his psyche. At the tender age of 8, Pedro was caught fondling his younger sister. The punishment? Banishment from the family home. With nowhere to go, Lopez found himself on the unforgiving streets of Colombia. It was here that the seeds of his dark future were sown. Street life was brutal. Lopez fell victim to sexual predators and was repeatedly assaulted by strangers. This horrific abuse, combined with the lack of a stable home or parental guidance, warped his mind and twisted his understanding of human relationships. Instead of breaking him, the violence he endured began to fuel a simmering rage, a dangerous cocktail of trauma and psychopathy brewing in the young boy. A dark transformation in his teenage years, Lopez attempted to turn his life around. A kind American couple took him in, enrolling him in school and providing him with a semblance of stability. But this respite was short-lived. Lopez was caught stealing and subsequently expelled from school, pushing him back into the streets, where his descent into criminality deepened. By the 1970s, Lopez began his journey into violent crime. He started stealing cars and selling them on the black market. His frequent brushes with the law landed him in jail, and it was there, in the confines of prison, that his transformation into a killer began. While in prison, Lopez was allegedly gang raped by other inmates. But unlike before, he didn't remain a passive victim. He sought revenge, brutally murdering his attackers one by one. This marked a significant shift in his behavior. Lopez no longer saw violence as something to fear. He saw it as a tool, a means of control. The killing spree. Upon his release from prison, Lopez unleashed the full extent of his darkness. He traveled across Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru, targeting young girls from poor, rural communities. Posing as a salesman or a kind stranger, he would lure his victims with promises of gifts or work opportunities. Once isolated, Lopez would strike. His modus operandi was as calculated as it was horrific. Lopez would rape his victims before strangling them, often burying their bodies in shallow graves. He later confessed that he derived a perverse sense of satisfaction from killing at dawn, claiming that watching the sun rise as he ended a life brought him a twisted sense of peace. But why such an obsession with young girls? Lopez claimed to have been purging them from the world before they could grow into the deceitful and manipulative women he believed all females to be. His distorted view of women, likely rooted in his traumatic childhood, fueled his murderous rampage. In 1980, Lopez was finally caught in Ecuador when he attempted to abduct a young girl. The local community captured him, and he was handed over to the police. What followed was one of the most chilling confessions in criminal history. The confession during his interrogation, Lopez shocked investigators by confessing to the murders of over 300 young girls. Initially, the police dismissed his claims as the ramblings of a madman. But Lopez took them to several grave sites, where the remains of his victims were unearthed. The scope of his crimes was undeniable. Lopez's lack of remorse was perhaps the most chilling aspect of his confession. He spoke of his murders with a calm, almost casual demeanor, as though he were describing mundane daily activities. Investigators were horrified, not only by the sheer number of victims but also by Lopez's apparent indifference to human life. Despite the overwhelming evidence and his own admissions, Lopez's time in custody was shockingly short. Convicted of 110 murders in Ecuador, he was sentenced to just 16 years in prison, the maximum sentence allowed under Ecuadorian law at the time. Release and disappearance in 1994, after serving 14 years, Pedro Alonso Lopez was released for good behavior. Yes, you heard that right, the man who admitted to murdering over 300 children walked free. He was deported to Colombia, where authorities briefly detained him on an old murder charge. However, due to a lack of evidence, he was released once again. After his release, Lopez disappeared. Rumors swirled about his whereabouts, some claimed he continued killing, while others suggested he may have died. To this day, his exact fate remains unknown, leaving a haunting question. Is the monster of the Andes still out there? The legacy of Fear Lopez's case remains one of the most disturbing in criminal history. It's a stark reminder of the gaps in justice systems and the enduring pain inflicted upon victims' families. For many, Lopez represents the ultimate failure of society. A man whose crimes were unimaginable, yet who walked free to potentially kill again. As we conclude this horrifying tale, we're left with a chilling thought. Monsters don't just exist in nightmares. Sometimes, they walk among us. Thank you for watching this deep dive into the twisted world of Pedro Alonso Lopez. Now the main part of the video, don't skip, stay tuned. Now we discuss the good and bad effect of the Pedro Alonso Lopez life and how we can save our family children, so fasten your seatbelt please. Top of form. The story of Pedro Alonso Lopez, the monster of the Andes, is horrifying, but it also carries several important lessons and insights. Here are the key lessons we can draw from his story. The impact of childhood trauma. Childhood abuse and neglect can have devastating consequences on an individual's development and behavior. Lopez's early exposure to violence, abandonment, and sexual abuse shaped his warped worldview and destructive actions. While not all abused children become criminals. The story underscores the importance of addressing trauma early and providing psychological support to vulnerable individuals. The role of society in preventing crime. A lack of societal safety nets can create the perfect storm for individuals to fall through the cracks. Lopez's life reflects systemic failures, from his expulsion from home to his lack of rehabilitation in prison. Addressing social inequality, providing mental health care, and fostering inclusive environments are essential to breaking cycles of violence and crime. Justice system limitations. Weak justice systems can allow dangerous individuals to escape proper punishment and continue harming others. Lopez's release after serving only 14 years for heinous crimes highlights flaws in legal frameworks, particularly when sentencing does not align with the severity of crimes. The case emphasizes the need for stronger international cooperation and reforms to ensure that justice is served. The importance of public awareness. Public vigilance and awareness can prevent crimes and protect potential victims. Lopez exploited the vulnerabilities of young girls and their families, often luring victims from impoverished, rural areas. Education and community programs can teach children and families how to recognize and avoid potential predators. Evil can be deceptively ordinary. Monsters don't always look like monsters. Lopez appeared like an ordinary man and used charm and manipulation to win his victims' trust. This serves as a reminder to remain cautious and vigilant, as danger can sometimes come from the least expected sources. The need for vigilant monitoring post-release. Monitoring high-risk offenders after their release is critical. Lopez's disappearance after his release remains a glaring failure of authorities. His case emphasizes the need for proper tracking, rehabilitation and, where necessary, indefinite detainment of dangerous individuals who pose a continuous threat to society. The long-lasting impact on victims and families. The effects of violence extend far beyond the immediate victims. The families of Lopez's victims are left to grapple with lifelong pain and unanswered questions. This reminds us of the enduring impact of crime and the importance of support systems for those affected. Prevention over punishment. Early intervention can prevent tragedies from occurring. Lopez's life shows the importance of addressing root causes, poverty, abuse, and lack of education before they lead to destructive behavior. Prevention strategies, such as investing in community resources and child welfare programs, are essential. The world can't ignore such crimes. International cooperation is vital in addressing crimes that cross borders. Lopez committed murders across multiple countries, exploiting differences in legal systems and oversight. His case demonstrates the need for global coordination to track and prosecute serial offenders. A reminder to remain vigilant. Evil often operates in the shadows, but awareness and action can prevent it. Lopez's crimes serve as a stark reminder of the importance of vigilance in protecting our communities, especially the most vulnerable members. Ultimately, the story of Pedro Alonso Lopez underscores the importance of empathy, justice, and proactive intervention. It serves as a dark reminder of what can happen when systemic failures go unchecked. But it also offers hope by pointing to the ways society can improve to prevent such horrors in the future. Protecting your family and children from dangerous individuals like Pedro Alonso Lopez requires vigilance, education, and proactive measures. Here are comprehensive strategies to keep children safe. Educate children about safety. Teach them about strangers. Explain the concept of stranger danger in a way that's age appropriate. Not all strangers are dangerous, but children should know to be cautious around unfamiliar adults. Define safe and unsafe touch. Help them understand the difference between appropriate and inappropriate physical contact and encourage open communication if they ever feel uncomfortable. Teach children that they have the right to say no to adults or peers who make them uncomfortable. Foster open communication. Firstly, build trust. Create an environment where children feel safe discussing anything with you, without fear of punishment or judgment. Secondly, ask questions regularly. Talk about their daily experiences, friendships, and feelings. This keeps you informed and helps you detect potential warning signs. Thirdly, provide a safe word system. Teach your child a family-specific code word to use when they feel unsafe or need immediate help. Supervise and monitor activities. First, know their routines. Be aware of your child's whereabouts, activities, and the people they interact with. Second, monitor online activity. Keep an eye on social media, gaming platforms, and chat apps where predators may target children. Teach them not to share personal information online. Third, supervise playtime and interactions with adults, especially in public or unfamiliar settings. Teach situational awareness. Avoid isolated areas. Advise children to stay in groups, especially in parks, playgrounds, or while traveling to and from school. Identify safe places. Show them how to find trusted adults like teachers, police officers, or store employees if they feel unsafe. Recognize grooming behavior. Educate older children about manipulation tactics predators might use, like offering gifts, jobs, or special treatment. Strengthen family and community ties. Get to know your community. Build relationships with neighbors and community members. A strong network can act as an extra layer of protection. Teach children to trust their instincts. Encourage them to speak up if something feels wrong, even if they can't explain why. Background checks on caregivers. Verify anyone involved in childcare before hiring babysitters, tutors, or coaches. Check their credentials and background thoroughly. Be cautious with new acquaintances. If someone new enters your child's life, observe their behavior and interactions carefully. Role-play scenarios. Practice what if situations. Help children rehearse responses to potential dangers. For example, what if someone offers them candy or a ride? What if someone claims to know you and asks them to come along? What if they get lost in a crowded area? Teach them to yell and run. Make it clear that it's okay to scream, make a scene, and run away from danger. Protect through technology. GPS trackers. Equip young children with wearable GPS devices or smartwatches that allow you to track their location. Parental controls. Use software to monitor their digital interactions and restrict access to inappropriate content. Emergency apps. Teach them how to use apps that allow for immediate communication with you or authorities in case of an emergency. Advocate for child safety policies. Promote awareness campaigns. Support or organize events that educate communities about child safety and the dangers of predatory behavior. Push for better laws. Advocate for stricter laws and penalties for child predators and improved post-release monitoring systems. Stay alert for warning signs. Changes in behavior. Be attentive to sudden shifts in mood, withdrawal, or fearfulness in your child. Physical clues. Unexplained injuries, discomfort, or changes in hygiene habits may indicate abuse. Regression or anxiety. Watch for signs like bedwetting, nightmares, or fear of specific people or places. Emergency preparation. Teach them emergency contacts. Ensure they know their home address, your phone number, and how to call the police. Create an escape plan if faced with immediate danger. Teach them how to safely leave the situation and seek help. Led by example. Model safe behavior. Demonstrate caution and awareness in your interactions with strangers and teach children to follow your lead. Discuss real-world examples without overwhelming them. Share age-appropriate stories to reinforce the importance of safety. Trust your instincts. Listen to your gut. If someone around your child makes you uncomfortable, take it seriously and act to protect your child. Act quickly. Report any suspicious behavior to the authorities or your local child protection agency. Report suspicious activity. Call the police if you see anyone exhibiting predatory behavior or hear about suspicious activities in your area. Report it immediately. Work with schools. Encourage schools to adopt child safety programs, monitor visitors, and train staff to recognize signs of abuse. By staying informed, vigilant, and proactive, you can significantly reduce the risk of your children falling prey to dangerous individuals. Remember, protecting children is a community effort that requires both awareness and action. If you found this video informative, or if it made your skin crawl, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Plunge into Crime. Let us know in the comments below which case you'd like us to cover next. Until next time, stay safe, and remember, evil often hides in plain sight.